is without the internet.
Most of the sites predict the exact date of destruction in 2012 will be December 21st. That's because it's the last day marked by the ancient Mayas on what's called the long count calendar.
2012 is very fatalistic because it's not about a war of good and evil. It's just kind of an event that's going to happen, right? And there's nothing we can do about it. It's just like a clock that's finally going to wind down.
And since young people are the biggest internet consumers, they're highly susceptible. At Holy Cross High School in Woodbridge, Canada, students in the graduating art class have put their darkest fears about that date on display.
You know, obviously it's something that I'm thinking about heavily because life and death is very serious.
Scientists have predicted this, so once they say scientists, it becomes more convincing.
They did find facts and they found, things that prove it.
There's a mystery surrounding the year 2012. It's then when many people believe that the world will undergo a major change.
But we have to be prepared for a solar tsunami.
Many believe 2012 is the year the world changes.
Earthquake आ सकता है या फिर communication systems fail हो सकते हैं.
Doom and gloom, fear and disaster, hot buttons guaranteed to grab headlines. And right now, there's a very receptive audience.
We live in times of high anxiety. There's no question about that. Some of that, I think, is because we have access to so much information.
There are hundreds of books and dozens of documentaries, all with their own.
I want to know what's all of this buzz that's going on. I hadn't heard of 2012, but now I know. And now that I know, it makes me very anxious and worried, and I want to find out more about it. But it's very difficult to tell what's real and what's fabricated these days.
Hi, my name is David Morrison. I'm a space scientist at NASA Ames Research Center. For the last 2 years, I've been answering hundreds of questions from the public about 2012 and the supposed threat to Earth. And so now I want to take a chance to talk to some of you more directly.
At the NASA Science Space Program, Dr. David Morrison believes the scientific veneer attached to all the apocalyptic predictions is pure bunk.
Every few years in recent history, there has been some threat that's come up of the end of the world, like Y2K. This one seems to be worse because at least the people who write to me are genuinely fearful. This isn't just a possibility, they're almost certain. I have had young people threaten suicide. I've had women talk about killing themselves and their children. There is a convergence of perceived threats.
The first threat arises from a phantom planet called Nibiru that will either crash into us or pitch Earth out of its orbit.
The original fear was of a planet, or some say a brown dwarf, called Nibiru, that supposedly was discovered by the ancient Sumerians and comes by every 3,600 years.
Then there are the sunstorms, which were predicted to peak in 2012 in what's called a solar maximum, bombarding Earth with solar flares or radiation.
It's very difficult to predict specific solar flares, or even to know when the next sunspot maximum is. In any case, there's nothing about the sun that threatens people.
But the doomsayers argue the sun will become a threat to Earth because of holes in the magnetic field that acts as a kind of protective shield.
It's my understanding that these variations in the magnetosphere that have been discovered recently have no implications in terms of a greater threat.
Okay, then how about this scenario? The Earth's magnetic poles suddenly flip, which happens every 300,000 or 400,000 years. Or there's a change in the inner core, causing the planet to spin in reverse.
If the magnetic pole should flip, I doubt it would have any effect on us on Earth. As far as the Earth changing direction, that's never happened.
But if it does happen, the believers predict landslides, volcanic eruptions, and tidal waves, cutting off power, threatening the food supply, and sparking civil war.
I call this cosmophobia. One thing after another, it's almost as though whenever they hear a news flash or read about some new discovery, the first thing that comes to their mind is, will it hurt me? Is it going to destroy the Earth?